A shopping mall is a modern, chiefly North American, term for a form of shopping precinct or shopping center, in which one or more buildings form a complex of shops representing merchandises with interconnecting walkways that enable customers to walk from unit to unit. A shopping arcade is a specific form serving the same purpose. Many early shopping arcades, such as the Burlington Arcade in London, the Galleria Vittorio Emanuele II in Milan, and numerous arcades in Paris are famous and still trading. However, many smaller arcades have been demolished, replaced with large centers or malls, often accessible by vehicle. Technical innovations such as electric lighting and escalators were introduced from the late 19th century. For the late 20th century, entertainment venues such as movie theaters and restaurants began to be added. As a single-built structure, early shopping centers were often architecturally significant constructions, enabling wealthier patrons to buy goods in spaces protected from the weather. Regional differences. In places around the world, the term shopping center is used, especially in Europe, Australia, and South America. Mall is a term used predominantly in North America. Outside of North America, shopping precinct and shopping arcade are also used. In North America, Gulf countries, and India, the term shopping mall is usually applied to enclosed retail structures, while shopping center usually refers to open-air retail complexes. Both types of facilities usually have large parking lots, face major traffic arterials, and have few pedestrian connections to surrounding neighborhoods. In the United Kingdom and Ireland, malls are commonly referred to as shopping centers. Mall primarily refers to either a shopping mall, a place where a collection of shops all adjoin a pedestrian area, or an exclusively pedestrianized street that allows shoppers to walk without interference from vehicle traffic. In North America, mall is generally used to refer to a large shopping area usually composed of a single building which contains multiple shops, usually anchored by one or more department stores surrounded by a parking lot, while the term arcade is more often used, especially in Britain, to refer to a narrow pedestrian-only street, often covered between closely spaced buildings. The majority of British shopping centres are located in city centres, usually found in old and historic shopping districts and surrounded by subsidiary open-air shopping streets. Large examples include West Quay in Southampton, Manchester Arndale, Doering, Birmingham, Liverpool 1, Trinity Leeds, Buchanan Galleries in Glasgow, and Eldon Square in Newcastle upon Tyne. In addition to the inner-city shopping centres, large UK conurbations will also have large out-of-town regional malls, such as Meadowhall Centre, Sheffield serving South Yorkshire, the Trafford Centre in Greater Manchester, White Rose Centre in Leeds, and Bluewater in Kent. These centres were built in the 1980s and 1990s, but planning regulations prohibit the construction of any more. Out-of-town shopping developments in the UK are now focused on retail parks, which consist of groups of warehouse-style shops with individual entrances from outdoors. Planning policy prioritizes the development of existing town centres, although with patchy success. Westfield Stratford City in Stratford is the largest shopping centre in Europe with over 330 shops, 50 restaurants and an 11-screen cinema, and Westfield London is the largest inner-city shopping centre in Europe. Bullring, Birmingham is the busiest shopping centre in the UK, welcoming over 36.5 million shoppers in its opening year. There are a reported 222 malls in Europe. In 2014, these malls had combined sales of $12.47 billion. This represented a 10% bump in revenues from the prior year. Development of shopping areas and building types. One of the earliest examples of public shopping malls comes from ancient Rome, in forums where shopping markets were located. One of the earliest public shopping centers is Trajan's Market in Rome, located in Trajan's Forum. Trajan's Market was probably built around 110 CE by Apollodorus of Damascus, and it is thought to be the world's oldest shopping center, a forerunner of today's shopping mall. The Grand Bazaar of Istanbul was built in the 15th century and is still one of the largest covered shopping centers in the world, with more than 58 streets and 4,000 shops. Numerous other covered shopping arcades, such as the 19th-century Al-Hamid Souk in Damascus, Syria, might also be considered as precursors to the present-day shopping mall. Isfahan's Grand Bazaar, which is largely covered, dates from the 10th century. The 10-kilometer-long, covered Tehran's Grand Bazaar also has a lengthy history. The oldest continuously occupied shopping mall in the world is likely to be the Chester Rose, dating back at least to the 13th century. These covered walkways housed shops with storage and accommodation for traders on various levels. Different rows specialized in different goods, such as Baker's Row or Fleshmonger's Row. Gostiny Dvor in St. Petersburg, which opened in 1785, may be regarded as one of the first purposely built-in mall-type shopping complexes, as it consisted of more than 100 shops covering an area of over 53,000 square meters. The Marché des Enfants Rouges in Paris opened in 1628 and still runs today. The Oxford Covered Market in Oxford, England, opened in 1774 and still runs today. The Passage du Caire was opened in Paris in 1798. The Burlington Arcade in London was opened in 1819. The Arcade in Providence, Rhode Island introduced the retail arcade concept to the United States in 1828. The Galleria Vittorio Emanuele II in Milan, Italy followed in the 1870s and is closer to large modern malls in spaciousness. Other large cities created arcades and shopping centers in the late 19th century and early 20th century, including the Cleveland Arcade, Dayton Arcade and Moscow's Gum, which opened in 1890. Early shopping centers designed for the automobile include Market Square, Lake Forest, Illinois, and Country Club Plaza, Kansas City, Missouri. An early indoor mall prototype in the United States was the Lakeview store at Morgan Park, Duluth, Minnesota, which was built in 1915 and held its grand opening on July 20, 1916. The architect was Dean and Dean from Chicago and the building contractor was George H. Lounsbury from Duluth. The building is 2 stories with a full basement, and shops were originally located on all 3 levels. All of the stores were located within the interior of the mall. Some shops were accessible from the inside and out. In the mid-20th century, with the rise of the suburban automobile culture in the United States, a new style of shopping center was created away from downtown. From early on, the design tended to be inward-facing, with malls following theories of how customers could best be enticed in a controlled environment. Similar, the concept of a mall having one or more anchor stores or big box stores was pioneered early, with individual stores or smaller-scale chain stores intended to benefit from the shoppers attracted by the big stores. Mall construction in America was encouraged by the accelerated depreciation laws of 1954, which incentivized greenfield development on the urban fringe. A second stimulus came from legislation passed in 1960, which allowed investors to band together in REITs to avoid corporate income taxes. The laws helped to shape the familiar ex-urban landscape of malls, motels, and fast food chains. By year-end 20 2015, the total amount of retail space per person in the United States will be 48.3 square feet. This is off from the high of 49.8 square feet set in 2009. It is projected that this figure will continue to decline through 2020. Early examples. The Cleveland Arcade was among the first indoor shopping arcades in the U.S., and like its European counterparts, was an architectural triumph. When the building opened in 1890, two sides of the arcade had 1,600 panes of glass set in iron framing and is a prime example of Victorian architecture. The early shopping center in the United States took shape at the Grandview Avenue Shopping Center in Grandview Heights, Ohio in 1928, the first regional shopping center in America that integrated parking into the design. This general plan by Don Monroe Casto Sr. became the prototype of shopping centers for several decades. Other important shopping centers built in the 1920s and early 1930s include Country Club Plaza in Kansas City, Missouri, the Highland Park Village in Dallas, Texas, River Oaks in Houston, Texas, and the Park and Shop in Washington, D.C. The suburban shopping center concept evolved further in the United States after World War II. Bellevue Shopping Square opened in 1946 in Bellevue, Washington, a suburb of Seattle. Town and Amp Country Village also opened in 1946 in Sacramento, California. Then came the Broadway Crenshaw Center, which was dedicated in Los Angeles in 1947. Three more suburban shopping centers were completed in 1949. Town and Country Drive-In Shopping Center in Whitehall, Ohio was a strip-type complex erected in the environs of Columbus, Ohio. Park Forest, Illinois' Park Forest Plaza was built along the lines of a cluster-type complex. It was situated in the southern suburbs of Chicago, Illinois. Cameron Village contained a shopping center as part of a planned community in what was then the outskirts of Raleigh, North Carolina. The suburban shopping mall came into being with the opening of Seattle's Northgate Center in April 1950. This was followed by Lakewood Center, in Lakewood, California, Shoppers World, in Framingham, Massachusetts, Stonestown Center in San Francisco, California, and Northland Center, in Southfield, Michigan. Open-air-type malls were also built in Canada and Australia. Don Mills Convenience Centre opened in 1955 in Toronto, Ontario. Chermside Drive-In Shopping Centre started trading to the public in 1957 in Brisbane, Australia. The fully enclosed shopping mall did not appear until the mid-1950s. One of the earliest examples was the Valley Fair Shopping Centre in Appleton, Wisconsin, which opened in March 1955. The Valley Fair featured a number of modern features including a large parking area, anchor stores, and restaurants. The idea of a regionally sized, fully enclosed shopping complex was pioneered in 1956 by the Austrian-born architect and American immigrant Victor Gruen. This new generation of regional-size shopping centers began with the Gruen-designed Southdale Center, which opened in the Twin Cities suburb of Edina, Minnesota, United States in October 1956. For pioneering the soon-to-be enormously popular mall concept in this form, Gruen has been called the most influential architect of the 20th century by Malcolm Gladwell. The first retail complex to be promoted as a mall was Paramus, New Jersey's Bergen Mall. The center, which opened with an open-air format in 1957, was enclosed in 1973. Aside from Southdale Center, significant early enclosed shopping malls were Harrendale Mall in Glen Burnie, Maryland, Big Town Mall in Mesquite, Texas, Christown Mall in Phoenix, Arizona, and Randhurst Center in Mount Prospect, Illinois. The first fully enclosed shopping mall in Canada was Wellington Square. It was designed for Eaton's by John Gregg Jr. as an enclosed mall with a department store anchor and subterranean parking, which opened in downtown London, Ontario on August 11, 1960. After several renovations, it remains open today as City Plaza. Other early malls moved retailing away from the dense commercial downtowns into the largely residential suburbs. This formula became a popular way to build retail across the world. Gruen himself came to abhor this effect of his new design. He decried the creation of enormous, land-wasting seas of parking, and the spread of suburban sprawl. In the UK, Crisp Street Market was the first pedestrian shopping area built with a road at the shop fronts. The first mall-type shopping precinct in Great Britain was built in the downtown area of Birmingham. Known as Bullring Centre, it was officially dedicated in May 1964. A notable example is the Halton Lee Shopping Centre in Runcorn, which opened in 1972 and was conceived as the centre point for the new town's development. Another early example is the Brent Cross Centre, Britain's first out-of-town shopping mall and located on the northern outskirts of London, which was opened in March 1976. In the United States, developers such as A. Alfred Taubman of Taubman Centers extended the concept further in 1980, with terrazzo tiles at the mall at Short Hills in New Jersey, indoor fountains, and 2 levels allowing a shopper to make a circuit of all the stores. Taubman believed carpeting increased friction, slowing down customers, so it was removed. Fading daylight through glass panels was supplemented by gradually increased electric lighting, making it seem like the afternoon was lasting longer, which encouraged shoppers to linger. Ala Moana Center in Honolulu, Hawaii is currently the largest open-air mall in the world and was one of the largest malls in the United States when it opened for business in August 1959. It is currently the 16th largest in the country. The outlets at Bergen Town Center, the oldest enclosed mall in New Jersey, opened in Paramus on November 14, 1957, with Dave Garroway, host of The Today Show, serving as master of ceremonies. The mall, located just outside New York City, was planned in 1955 by Allied Stores to have 100 stores and 8,600 parking spaces in a 1,500,000 square feet in mall that would include a 300,000 square feet Stearns store and 2 other 150,000 square feet department stores as part of the design. Allied's chairman B. Earl Puckett confidently announced the outlets at Bergen Town Center as the largest of 10 proposed centers, stating that there were 25 cities that could support such centers and that no more than 50 malls of this type would ever be built nationwide. In the 1970s, the Ontario government created the Ontario Downtown Renewal Program, which helped finance the building of several downtown malls across Ontario such as Eaton Centre. The program was created to reverse the tide of small business leaving downtowns for larger sites surrounding the city. In the first quarter of 2012, shopping mall private investment hit an all-time low under 0.1%. Largest shopping malls. The largest mall in the world is the new South China Mall in Dongguan, China, with a gross floor area of 892,000 square meters. The world's second largest shopping mall is the Golden Resources Mall in Beijing, China, with a gross floor area of 680,000 square meters. Edam Mega Mall in the Philippines is the world's third largest at 542,980 square meters of gross floor area. The fourth largest shopping mall in the world is Edam City North EDSA in Quezon City, Philippines, with a a gross floor area of 504,900 square meters, and the fifth largest shopping mall is One Utama in Malaysia at 465,000 square meters of gross floor area. Previously, the title of the largest enclosed shopping mall was with the West Edmonton Mall in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada from 1986 to 2004. It is now the fifth largest mall. One of the world's largest shopping complexes in one location is the two-mall agglomeration of the Plaza at King of Prussia and the Court at King of Prussia in the Philadelphia suburb of King of Prussia, Pennsylvania, United States. The King of Prussia Mall has the most shopping per square foot in the U.S., the most visited shopping mall in the world and largest mall in the United States is the Mall of America, located near the Twin Cities in Bloomington, Minnesota. However, several Asian malls are advertised as having more visitors, including Maltamin Anggrek Kelapa Gading Mall and Pluta Village, all in Jakarta, Indonesia, Burj Times Square in Malaysia, Edam City North EDSA, Edam Mall of Asia and Edam Mega Mall, all in Metro Manila, Philippines. The largest mall in South Asia is Bashundhara City in Dhaka, Bangladesh. Types. The International Council of Shopping Centers classifies shopping malls into 8 basic types: neighborhood center, community center, regional center, superregional center, fashion, specialty center, power center, theme, festival center, and outlet center. These definitions, published in 1999, were not restricted to shopping centers in any particular country, but later additions were made specific to the US with a separate set for Europe. Neighborhood center. Neighborhood centers are small-scale malls serving the local neighborhood. They typically have a supermarket or a drugstore as an anchor, and are commonly arranged in a strip mall format. Neighborhood centers usually have a retail area of 30,000 to 150,000 square feet, and serve a primary area in a 3-mile radius. They are sometimes known as convenience centers. Community mall. Community malls are larger than neighborhood centers, and offer a wider range of goods. They usually feature 2 anchor stores which are larger than that of a neighborhood centers, e.g., a discount department store. They may also follow a strip configuration, or may be L or U-shaped. Community centers usually feature a retail area of 100,000 to 350,000 square feet and serve a primary area of 3 to 6 miles. Regional center. A regional mall is, per the International Council of Shopping Centers in the United States, a shopping mall which is designed to service a larger area than a conventional shopping mall. As such, it is typically larger, with 400,000 square feet to 800,000 square feet gross leasable area, with at least 2 anchor stores, and offers a wider selection of stores. Given the wider service area, these malls tend to have higher-end stores that need a larger area in order for the services to be profitable, but may have discount department stores. Regional malls are also found as tourist attractions in vacation areas. Superregional center. A superregional mall is, per the International Council of Shopping Centers in the U.S., a shopping mall with over 800,000 square feet of gross leasable area, 3 or more anchors, mass merchant, more variety, fashion apparel, and serves as the dominant shopping venue for the region in which it is located. Fashion specialty center. Fashion or specialty centers feature upscale apparel shops and boutiques and cater to customers with higher incomes. They usually have a retail area ranging from 80,000 to 250,000 square feet and serve an area of 5 to 15 miles. Power center. Power centers are large shopping centers that almost exclusively feature several big box retailers as are anchors. They usually have a retail area of 250,000 to 600,000 square feet and a primary trade area of 5 to 10 miles. Theme Festival Center. Festival centers have distinct unifying themes that are followed by their individual shops as well as their architecture. They are usually located in urban areas and cater to tourists. They typically feature a retail area of 80,000 to 250,000 square feet. Outlet center. An outlet mall is a type of shopping mall in which manufacturers sell the products directly to the public through their own stores. Other stores in malls are operated by retailers selling returned goods and discontinued products, often at heavily reduced prices. Outlet stores were found as early as 1936, but the first multi-store outlet mall, Vanity Fair, located in Reading, PA, did not open until 1974. Bell's Enterprises opened the first enclosed factory outlet mall in 1979 in Lakeland, TN, a suburb of Memphis. Components. Food court. A common feature of shopping malls is a food court. This typically consists of a number of fast food vendors of various types, surrounding a shared seating area. Department stores. When the shopping mall format was developed by Victor Gruen in the mid-1950s, signing larger department stores was necessary for the financial stability of the projects, and to draw retail traffic that would result in visits to the smaller stores in the mall as well. These larger stores are termed anchor store or draw tenant. In physical configuration, anchor stores are normally located as far from each other as possible to maximize the amount of traffic from one anchor to another. Standalone stores. Frequently, a shopping mall or shopping center will have satellite buildings located either on the same tract of land or on one abutting it, on which will be located standalone stores, which may or may not be legally connected to the central facility through contract or ownership. These stores may have their own parking lots, or the lots may interconnect with those of the mall or center. The existence of the standalone store may have been planned by the mall's developer, or may have come about through opportunistic actions by others. But visually, the central facility, the mall or shopping center, and the satellite buildings will often be perceived as being a single unit, even in circumstances where the outlying buildings are not officially or legally connected to the mall in any way. Dead malls. In the United States, in the mid-1990s, malls were still being constructed at a rate of 140 a year. But in 2001, a PricewaterhouseCoopers study found that underperforming and vacant in malls, known as grayfield and dead mall estates, were an emerging problem. In 2007, a year before the Great Recession, no new malls were built in America for the first time in 50 years. City Creek Center Mall in Salt Lake City, which opened in March 2012, was the first to be built since the recession. In recent years, the number of dead malls increased significantly in the early 21st century because the economic health of malls across the United States has been in decline, with high vacancy rates in these malls. From 2006 to 2010, the percentage of malls that are considered to be dying by real estate experts, unhealthy, or in trouble all increased greatly, and these high vacancy rates only partially decreased from 2010 to 2014. In 2014, nearly 3% of all malls in the United States were considered to be dying, and nearly 1/5 of all malls had vacancy rates considered troubling. Some real estate experts say the fundamental problem is a glut of malls in many parts of the country, creating a market that is extremely over-retailed.